Kiss My Chaos. Taking stories of trauma into triumph while living life in the middle and everything in between. All views are expressed solely of the host, guests, and for entertainment purposes only. You don't like it? Well, you can kiss our chaos. Here are your hosts, Abigail Dark and D.T. Hudson.
Welcome back to the Kiss My Chaos podcast. I got it right this time. I only had 2 sips of this delicious tea. Sponsor us. I'm not giving up until this tea company sponsors us.
I think people are gonna get sick of hearing it, but Harvey and Sons, and we are like, so what do you think? We have our guest here. We're gonna ask him what he thinks about the tea.
What do you think about the tea?
I like the tea. It has a pretty strong taste. It reminds me like a cinnamon milk mixture.
Yeah.
So it kind of brings back to my heritage. So I really love it.
What is the texture?
It's Harvey and Sons hot orange cinnamon tea. It's
the cinnamon. Yeah, I could taste that a little bit too. The cinnamon is strong.
Yeah, it's got a little bite to it.
I put extra cinnamon in it because, I used to smoke for like 20 years, so I can't taste anything. So then I have to dump, like half a pound of cinnamon and everything.
I love it. I love it. That's why I did the 2 tea. That sounds bad. Abby puts 2 tea bags in my tea. I want to be real careful. I want to be real careful.
You got tea bags.
I want to be real careful about how I do that. Hey, so I stepped outside today. It's cold. I'm wearing a stocking hat because I have no hair on my head, and it was snowing on me. Not happy about that.
Yeah, snow in May. Who would have thought?
Snow in May. Smay.
Well, it's supposed to warm up. So this is, okay, I'm sorry, podcast people. This is a very North Dakotan thing to do.
North Dakota.
Is to talk about the weather, because that's just, we're going to get off of that because nobody cares what the weather
I'm
is.
still stuck on the tea bag. So
I am too, man. Like, eat that shit. You know what I mean? It's like, woo! Oh, damn.
Hey, we have something really cool going on here today. And you know what? We had a little delay before. We talked about it before. Now we're back. Now we're just podcasting all the time. So good on us. Good on you. Thanks for the positive feedback on the last podcast. It was really awesome. People are still reaching out, and they love the photographs that our last guest had. Pretty crazy story he had. We're going to do something a little different today, though.
Yes. So today we have Ruben, and Ruben has a pretty fantastic story. Got to chat with him a little bit with Troy, a former guest of ours. He works with him, and we're working on mindset and all of the things that he's overcome. So we're really excited to hear his story today. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Ruben.
All right, so my name is Ruben Forget. I'm originally from San Diego, California. I grew up there for about 17 and a half years. And growing up in California, seeing certain types of violence and drug problems and lots of stuff that's just a little bit, very traumatic to see. It was like normal. And it was just an everyday thing, witnessing a lot of different stuff. And I never really thought about how, I guess, damaging it would be to like my adulthood. And some of it led to a lot of like violence that I committed, just trying to deal with the stress of seeing things and doing things and witnessing things. And over time, it eventually led me to, drugs and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it was a little bit crazy.
It sounds like it. So just so people can kind of understand, do you have a specific memory or like the first time that you feel like you can remember that you were exposed to, say violence or drugs in your life?
So I was probably, I would say probably about like 5 or 6 years old. I was in I was in middle school, and something was going on with the school. There was like a really big lockdown that was going on, and police officers were like swarming the school, and we had heard like a helicopter that kept on circling over the school, and come to find out there was a lady that was walking around the school, or not around the school, but like basically like around the area with a shotgun that was just like letting off shots at people. And the whole school was on lockdown. They ended up getting her, and they shot and killed her. And that was like the earliest memory I had, was just like seeing a whole bunch of cops, and like people were just going crazy, and the helicopter was like circling overhead. And that was when I was in middle school.
Okay. So describe to us what this is kind of a, it's a foreign concept to most people that, didn't grow up in that type of lifestyle, or, have, people around them that did drugs or had all of that. They weren't exposed to it at a young age. Would you say, like, growing up that you had that early exposure to it? Was it in like and around the home, or was it more friends? How did that come to be?
So like my home life, my parents are very like old school traditional. My grandma on my mom's side is very, Christian based. And my dad, he grew up a little bit in St. Louis and in Northern California. So seeing that kind of stuff, I guess like he's seen it all himself, but he just never chose to get into that because he knew himself.
Sure.
And I guess I'm sorry, what was the question again? My bad.
Just your first exposure to it, how you got, how you get from just being like normal childhood, normal life, seeing the violence and drugs around you. How do you step into that life?
So basically how I stepped into it was, I think third or fourth grade. A couple of the homies just had like some little dab pens, nothing too major. And we just started hitting that at school. And then it's got into weed, like smoking bud. And then after that, eventually got into like cocaine, and then meth, and then heroin, and then blues, fentanyl, like pretty much anything you've thought of. I've done ketamine, shrooms, ecstasy, sassafras, acid, and just a lot of different types of drugs.
Now cinnamon tea.
Yeah.
This is some good stuff.
Yeah.
What was the community like away from school? Like you're at home. What was the community like, what you grew up in?
So the community where I grew up in, it was like a lot of just, like in the inner city where like I went to high school, that kind of community is a little bit different than my home life because where I lived at, we weren't necessarily like right there in the mix. We were just like a little bit away from it. So I didn't really witness too much, but like there was still a lot of stuff that happened outside where I was at. Just like, for instance, like our neighbors that lived up above us, in the house above us, they were dealing weed, they were dealing, with guns. They had, kids in that lifestyle too. And there would be people going up and down the driveway all day, all night, and there'd be like certain things you would hear, like there'd be gunshots that go up on top of where the house was at. There would be, loud parties and like fights, and you could smell the weed. And at first I didn't really pay attention to it because it was like, my dad was like really hardcore on me not getting to know them. Because I think he knew that like once I got introduced to them, I was gonna be like, oh, all right, cool. Like y'all smoke weed, y'all drink, y'all do this and that. This is what I want to do too. So let's hop back into that. So for the most part, it kept me away from it. But in that neighborhood itself, there was just like a lot of just little drunken fights and like block parties and stuff like that.
Right on.
Do you think that in a way the drugs were kind of an escape? Like, I would imagine being in that situation is quite stressful for a kid all the time, of hearing that and seeing that and being constantly exposed to that, knowing that that's like right around the corner. Even though, home is home. Home was good, but you were surrounded by things that weren't. So do you think the drugs kind of went in and numbed that?
Yeah, I would say the drugs definitely numbed the feelings that I had because I grew up with just, the home life itself, like with my own parents, and there was just a lot of stuff that had happened dealing with, my mom's side of the family, my dad's side of the family, and then also having to deal with outside stuff like my old homies and like our old way of living, and, witnessing a lot of stuff. it was like really hard to deal with because, you know, you would see it every time I would walk out the crib, you know, you would just be remembered, but like a certain thing that happened at that place, like literally right down the street where I was at, I was on my bike and I think I was like 12 years old and I was coming up the hill and I had smelled something that like was really bad smelling and it was throwing me off. So I decided to go and like see what it was about. And when I looked down the little hillside with like little reeds, you know, and everything that grow on like the sides of rivers, there was that going down the hill. And when I looked down, I saw a pair of boots and some jeans, like torn up jeans, kicked up with mud. And it was a body that was facing down the hill. And I started freaking out a little bit. I mean, just like a little bit. I wasn't like crying or nothing like that. But I was just like, holy shit, like that's a dead body. And this car had driven down the road where I was at, and some lady and her, I'm guessing maybe her brother, had hopped out, and the woman was like totally distraught. She was crying, mascara all messed up, tears running down her face, and like chest heaving, and like just hair all crazy. She came up and she was just like asking me, have you seen, you know, so-and-so? And she was like looking for, I think it was her husband. And the guy that she was with was like questioning me, like what I was doing. And I like didn't really know how to like respond to that. Cause like, I don't want to be the one to break it to her. Like, yo, I'm like, I don't know if it's your husband, but like, I just found a dead body on the side of the mountain. Like, who wants to tell potentially like someone's wife that?
Well, you're 12 years old. Yeah. I mean, You're still a child.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a lot. I mean, just the body itself is a lot, but then to have to try and explain who you are, what you're doing, and validate why you're riding your bike.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty crazy experience, you know, and I was young, so I didn't really know how to like go about situations like that. So I just basically told her, I was like, I don't know where your husband is, but, you know, I just found a dead body on the side of the road right here. And I don't really know what to do. I don't know if I should call the police, if I should call my dad, if I should have him come check this out. And then she went down the hill and was like crying and everything. And I just ended up dipping out because, I don't know, like once you see like something like that, I was already like in like the gang lifestyle. So once you like witness something like a dead body, you know, something like that, it don't matter if you're a part of it or not, you dip out. You don't want to be around it. You don't really want to have your name, I guess, be at the scene. Sure. So I just dipped out, went back to my house. I told my dad, like, yeah, I just found like a dead body on the side of the road. And I didn't tell him like right after that. It was like I waited a couple hours because like I was like, man, like I don't want to tell nobody about what I just saw because, like, that was crazy. I was just out for a little bike ride and then smelling something horrible, thinking it's, like, maybe a dead animal or maybe a coyote, you know, or something like that. And then to come up and just see, like, a pair of boots and, like, a body laying down on the side of the road all, like, twisted up and, like, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Well, and a 12-year-old to recognize his own mortality, you know, you see that whenever you see a dead body, especially as a young person, whether it's, you know, a family member that passes away or, you know, that when you haven't been exposed to death in a way, except for in, you know, a traumatic way, I can't imagine how a person processes that. And like you said, you didn't cry or you didn't like react. To me, that just tells me like the stimulation of everything that you've been through. You couldn't cry. You didn't know that was traumatic.
No, I mean, it was like I was disconnected from myself, like from my own soul when I saw it. Like I didn't even really like, oh no, you know, like holy shit, it's a body. It was more like, oh, holy shit, like that's a dead body. And like, that's a little bit crazy. And so it's just, you know, thinking on it now, it was like, bro, like you your parents should have gotten you some like therapy for that.
Oh, absolutely.
You should have went to counseling or something like that, you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, it's just not something you're going to see every day.
No.
You know, and in a situation like that, did you ever find out what happened?
So it turns out that he worked at this restaurant that was like way up the hill. That was like a winery type deal.
Okay.
And I guess he got drunk and got into like a fight with his woman and drank himself on like the hill. And he was missing for I think a couple weeks and nobody knew where he was. And they eventually, I found him on the side of the road, facing down the hill, all like bloody and everything, and just it was pretty crazy.
Ugh.
A
Yeah.
body out in that weather.
Yeah.
Perfect weather in San Diego, but not perfect
for a body, man.
not for a body.
Yeah.
Woo! I tell you what.
Yeah.
Oh.
Once, and you know what? So getting back to this, this will lead into something later. To this day, you smell a dead animal. Does it take you back to that day?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, sometimes it's just like when I smell like a dead animal, it's like, oh man, like it's like, damn, like, ugh. Yeah.
Well, you and I aren't so different because I mowed over half our lilac bushes one day because I was like, something's dead, and for what I did for a living, you see that and smell that frequently, and just takes you back to a certain time, and you're kind of zoned out there for a little bit.
Oh
and,
yeah, 100%.
And then
100%.
you're replanting lilac bushes. So
I
Yeah.
have never
trouble with them on the
smelled.
mow.
Oh man, yes sir, yes sir.
I have not smelled like a bad dead body that way, but the closest I ever came was one time my husband and I we would come home and we smelled like death. Like it was just rotten. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
walked in the house. I'm like, there's got to be a dead mouse in here. There's got to be so we scoured the kitchen. We're looking at everything. We did all the dishes. We pulled the stove out. We did all the things. And then we moved the fridge. And I was like, oh, hey, before you do that, we would store a crock pot on top of the fridge. So I took the crock pot down and I lifted the lid and I
no.
about died. I had forgotten a pot roast leftovers
no.
in this crock pot
my
it had been up there for well over a month.
Similar story. I was driving our personal vehicle back and forth to work, and the smell was getting worse and worse and worse. This is another pot roast story. Guess what fell out of the grocery bag when my wife was grocery shopping? And it was 100 degrees for a week. I was like, there's some, I'm going to trade this vehicle off. This thing just stinks. And I open it and here's this black blob of meat underneath the seat. It was
dang.
So I go into the underground parking and I just put it in the garage, and then everybody was complaining. And I'm like, yeah, who would do that? God,
That's crazy.
for shame.
The only other one that I can think of was when we were coming home from a party in high school, and my friend was driving my car, and of course I drank too much and I got sick and I puked on the center shifter console thing.
Oh.
But the problem was when it was in drive, it had a hole
Oh, no.
that went so the puke went into the thing.
Tell me it wasn't Purple Passion.
I don't know what it was, honestly.
That's the worst.
It was probably Boone's Farm
man.
for all I remember,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I just, every time summer came around again, it was that puke smell just roast.
Yeah, trade the
back
car
Yeah.
out.
I
Oh
was
man.
I need a new car.
And then in the winter, occasionally when the heater kicks on,
Yeah.
so you get a little blast.
It's like a little puke
blast to
blast.
Abby there.
Yeah, a little memory coming back.
Oh my
so
God,
bad.
that's horrible of you.
I know.
Open the window, girl.
Can't help
Pull
it.
over. Get on the side of the. I did have a friend that did that down the heat register of a Eagle Talon, and that car got traded the next week because you're not getting that out of there.
Okay, so back to Ruben. Now that we've sidetracked on
Statute of limitations has run.
Right. Yeah. I know all about that.
Really?
familiar. So tell me about, did your parents ever figure out what you were getting into, and how did that turn out?
So they found out what I was getting into when I was probably about 10 years old. So my sister was dealing with some bullying, and that was probably my first interaction with my parents where they heard about me committing an act of violence. Because I did it way before that, but this was the first one where they heard about. And my sister was getting bullied by this dude. I still remember his name. His name is Gavin. And what happened was they were in the same class. This I think fourth I think she was in 3rd grade. I was in 4th grade. No. She was in 1st grade. I was in 2nd grade. Yeah, so I was in 2nd grade. And he had broke her umbrella. And it was like, I believe it was like a pink pony umbrella, I believe, with like a little pom-pom, I think like a pom-pom ball on the bottom of it.
Just like mine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got one too. I got one too. Use it for the winter, you know. Got to flex on the homies. And what ended up happening was she told me about it, and I flipped the hell out. And the next day, we're going for lunch. And normally we go at different times, but, you know, I said, I'm not going to class, so I'm going to find this dude. So I went in, snuck into their like little lunch period, and I'm like walking around the crowds trying to like find this dude. And eventually I saw him. He was like going down like a giant like hallway, and you know I ran up on him and like I grabbed him. And, like he was like, I was already like tall at that age, and he was like, he just so happens to be he was only like 4 feet tall.
Oh.
You know, so it was pretty easy. And like I just like slammed him against the wall, and like I held him by the throat, and like I told him like, don't ever come around my sister again. Don't bully her again. Like, if you do it again, it's gonna be something like that. It was. I mean, I can't really say too much like that.
Right.
There's a lot of cussing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
It's a free thing here. You can.
Yeah.
all right, cool. Just want, you know, I want to keep it like somewhat professional. But all right,
you're
cool.
good.
Look, yeah, basically, I told him like, man, like, hey, little bitch, like, don't fucking get up on my sister like that. I'm gonna fuck you up. Don't play with me. Like, I might have been young, but like, I was already on that kind of time. So that ended up happening. And then my parents ended up hearing about it. They weren't really too happy, but at the same time, like I was protecting my little sister, and ain't nobody gonna bully my sister except for me. And like that's it, you know, except for me. I'm the only one that can bully my sister. So
Right.
yeah, I was, it was. I liked it. I liked it.
That's family, though, man. You're looking out for family, and you know, I don't condone bullying or anything like that. But you know, I grew up in a time where you took care of business that way, and then you know what? Did the bullying ever happen again with that person?
No, sir.
There you are.
No, sir. Ever again. He actually tried getting with her like years later to try and like, you know, he changed himself. He was like a non-crazy kid. He was like a good kid now, but like. I shut that down quick. I was like,
You're like, I remember that.
yeah, nah, bro, nah, like hell no. Stay the fuck away.
You're still a first grader to me.
Yeah. You still a little bitch that I beat up back in 1st grade. So don't get that twisted, a little. You know what I mean?
Well, that's fair.
So when does it change from, you know, protecting your sister, justifying, you know, like we all laugh, like we've all had those moments where we're like, you know, don't fuck with her. She's my friend, you know, like. Right, elementary school type of banter. When does it turn to violence as a way of surviving?
So, started out in high school, San Pascual High in Escondido, California. And Escondido is like a different part of, it's like close to San Diego. But Escondido is like the ghetto of San Diego.
Sure.
And you know, in high school, there's really no other way to put it. Like you have to act a certain way, violent. You know, you got to put in work. You really got to make your name known. You got to build a reputation. So like, you know, we're beefing with like, so in like our high school, it's very like segregated and very diverse. So you got every race you can ever think of in the world is at that high school, but we all belong to different gangs. All of us are from different neighborhoods. All of us beef with each other. There's like no, in other hoods, like there's love, you know, and support and all that. And there's also that other side where it's just grimy, violent, angry, a lot of hatred, and like just a whole lot of just like, it's just a melting pot of just chaos. Mm-hmm. So that's where I fell into like the whole getting violent thing, because, you know, I was tall and skinny, and, you know, a lot of the homies like a little bit bigger than me. So I would have to make a name for myself. I was running fades. I was throwing down with dudes that were like 3 times bigger than me. And like I still went at it like every time. It didn't matter. And I eventually made my own little group of homies. Like we were all part of like the same hood. But like I formed my own little group. It was like me and 3 other homies and then 1 homegirl. And that's where, you know, I really started going hard into like my violent kind of way, because it was like, this is my own group. Then
you had to be a leader.
Yeah, you got to be a leader. You got to show who you are, what you're about. So it was just a natural reaction for me. It was like, there's no other way. There's no other way but just violence. That's just how it was.
I think that's a hard concept for people in the Midwest to really grasp. It's a different world around here where like the bullying is nothing like what you had experienced.
Not at all.
Just give us a taste of like what a situation would be.
12 and 13-year-olds having knife fights in the bathroom during break.
Really?
Wow.
Okay. So people were always on edge, always afraid, unless you were affiliated with someone who could A, protect you, or B, like you became one of them.
Safety through violence is the way it sounds to me.
Right.
Is you have a safer life because without the violence, you could be a victim real quick.
Oh, instantly. Like, and it was no hesitation asked. Like, if they saw weakness, they were going to extort that. They were going to hop on your ass. I was going to hop on your ass because, like, I was, like, really into, you know, I went from being bullied, you know, as a very young kid to becoming, like, the bully of, like, everybody. It didn't matter who you were, where you were from, who you knew. Like, I was on your ass. I didn't give a fuck. You know, I was willing to die behind mines.
Was anybody off limits?
No.
I gotcha.
Nope.
I thought it was a valid question because
I mean, kids are off limits, of
Right.
course. And, you know, parents and like those kind of situations, like those are definitely off limits. But
Sure.
if you're in the lifestyle, you know, if you're around people that are in it, then you should know what comes with it. There's no going back. There's no, oh, I didn't know, or, oh man, I wasn't even with that shit, homie. Nah, I don't give a fuck. Like, you was with them, you was around it, then you know what the fuck's up. I'm not gonna fucking give you a fucking pass. Fuck that.
right, there's
So-
consequences.
Oh, and 100%. You should know. You know. So,
Right on. Yeah, a little different in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Quiet justice is what I call it. It's like,
Yeah.
like when I'm an old man now, but when I went to high school, it's like, well, if you do have a beef, go out back and settle it. And that's what we did. And the principal is the one to be like, go out there and do it. Don't
That's
do it around
crazy.
here. Get off the
What?
school grounds, settle your differences, and come back. And then 2 days later, you're probably drinking a beer together. So
Yeah.
it's a little different. I mean, and I don't know if it's population, but you described a melting pot, and maybe not even different cultures, but the personalities and the identity of each community is at stake. I mean, you have to represent who you are and stand up for who you are. I kind of get that a little bit. I do.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was. And like I said, like there's millions of races out there. Like just in my high school, we had over 3,000 kids. So, like just like you said, like Abby, there's like tensions. Tensions are super, super high. Like it's, man, now that I'm looking back at it, it's like holy shit. Like we were at war every day with every race. Knowing shit would pop off, and like there's a few times where like shit did pop off, you know, and you never know about it. It's just like boom, next thing you know, someone gets sidetracked. Somebody would just 3 or 4 people would jump on somebody, or you would hear the bathroom door close a little bit hard, and the next thing you know, that's when you know it's game time. Like all right, it's go time. Let's go. So
I couldn't imagine walking into that every single day.
it was every day, and like I said, I didn't even think about it until like now. You know, thinking back on it, it's like, holy shit, like, that's a very high stress scenarios that I was putting myself in with no regard for my safety, other people's safety, their well-being, and, like, my own future. Because at that point, I didn't give a fuck if I have a future or not. Like, my future's with the homies and, like, our way of living. So, you know, it is what it is.
School was like a byproduct. It was just a place to like gain your ranks and to do what you needed to do.
Yep.
Would you say you would have been a good student?
So, if I chose to stay in school, I know I probably would have been a good student, maybe. If it was sports, if sports was like a thing, like a big thing, instead of like studying, I would definitely would have went to sports.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, you have a
100%.
competitive attitude and you're a leader, so I could see where you would excel at that.
I think it's hilarious that they had 3,000 people in their high school, and I graduated with 13. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. You can
Damn.
Here's the other thing. It's about accountability. You're not getting away with anything in a small school. I mean, everybody knows everybody. And
Right.
so with the beefs in the school, Do you think that's like a generational thing that's been going on for generations, or is that something that it just didn't appear? I mean, there's some reason why it still existed.
Yeah, so basically, like, beef started, like, way back. There's, like, certain things that happened within maybe, you know, families, or, you know, it was just, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. It's just, like, we just don't really get along with anybody out there. It don't really matter who you are or, like, where you come from. Like, if you're not from, like, our neighborhood, if you're not rolling with, like, our group of people, then you're not... And it's just
the way it's always been.
Yeah, it's just the way it's always been.
Okay, so it's just passing the torch down to the next generation. That was kind of my question. And with that, there's a lot of longevity. And to break a cycle like that, I don't think it has been broken.
No, there's really, I haven't heard, let's see. I haven't heard of a single homie that I knew that's actually, like, doing good. Yeah, nobody, because everybody's either been, like, killed off or been picked up in jail or, you know, still active.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's why
You're
your
here.
story is so
Yes, ma'am.
important. Because you can do it. You're doing it.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
are.
sir.
Very proud of you for that.
I
man.
couldn't
you.
even imagine being a new student at that school. I just keep thinking, like, man, if I transferred there,
Yeah, transfer this bald-headed dude there. You go. I'm really going to study
I would have
history
been
and art.
DOA,
time.
dead on arrival. Like,
Man, it would,
bad.
I mean, hey, if we all knew each other, right, going to high school, y'all would have been taken care of. You know what I mean? Y'all would have had the best weed, you know what I mean? The best drink. Y'all would have been invited to all the cookouts.
I like
You know what
cookouts.
Y'all would have had all the homies. You know,
I make a
y'all
mean
would have been.
burger. I mean, I might be able to rise in the ranks
We
from
do
my
like
cooking. I
we
can
do
provide
like
the
food.
food.
Yeah, food is a good motivator.
Y'all
for
would have
me.
fit in. We would have, would have looked out for y'all. It would have been all good.
It would have been awesome.
Yeah. We just have to exclude you from certain activities to let you know, hey, this is going down over here, so go
Yeah.
get some coffee on over there. You know,
Yeah,
like
you-
something, you know. this-
White girl, you go over there. Yeah.
Yeah, we can get you some Starbucks or whatever. You feel me? We'll get there. You know, some pumpkin spice
I love that
lattes.
he uses
You know,
Starbucks.
Go do your
yeah, it's winter time. You know what I mean?
I'm probably the only white girl that hates Starbucks. I don't know.
Be a good time for
Oh,
your
I think I bet.
Pilates class right now.
Well, we're never getting sponsored by Starbucks.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I like Caribou. Caribou coffee.
Caribou's where it's at. Caribou's where it's at. I agree.
There you go. So, after you moved out of that situation, tell us what was the catalyst that kind of got you to where you are now. Like, how did you get from there to here?
To Fargo?
Well,
Or
to
just-
Let's
your
start with
mental
that.
state of mind, like how you overcame all of these things.
So basically, it took me going to jail over 15 times in the same county to being in prison and then being locked up again probably about a year ago.
And how old are you, Ruben?
Right now, I just turned 25 on the 27th of April.
Okay.
And where it really changed me from being like that to being something different was every time I went to jail, I'd always go to this class. It's called Beyond the Barriers, and it's taught by Troy White. Shout out to Troy White. And basically, his class is like, it's very different. It reaches you into like your soul and your like your old mentality, and it looks past who you think you are. Like when I look in the mirror at times, all I see is like a gangster, like or like a convict, or just like a, you know, like not a very good man, of course. And with his class, like it looks past that. It looks towards like the old you, before the drugs got a hold of you, before the violence got to you, before whatever trauma attached itself to you and made you act a certain way. He wants to get like to that core root of who you were before all that happened. And going to those classes over and over, it didn't stick with me until his last time when like I was done with the class. Or not done with the class, I was done with the life, just like jail itself. Jail itself. And I was in what's it called? I was in Sigma when this last time I was in jail, just because like I got into like a little fight, you know, at breakfast. I like smacked the dude with a breakfast tray because he was on some bullshit. And I was in Sigma for a while, and so when I finally was being told I was getting let out, I was like, man, like hell yeah, like now I can go out to programs because it's boring in Sigma. Like there is nothing to do besides read a book, watch TV, organize my books that I read, and write letters with my family, and like that's it. So when I finally got brought out of Sigma, I was getting brought into E-Main, and I was introduced to my new celly, and I actually knew him from the streets too. And I was like dapping him up, and I'm like, what's up, homie? You know, we're just chopping it up. And I was telling him, I was like, man, like we got to go hit programs, dog. Like it's Tuesday, and like it was on a Tuesday too, so like that worked. That was on the day of Troy's classes. So I was telling my homie, I was like, hey, like it's only 12 o'clock, fool. Like we got time. Like let's go hit the program. Let's go see what's up with Troy. I haven't seen him in a minute. And he was like, all right, cool. So I got like, you know, maybe like 6 or 7 homies together. And like, of course, I was knocking on a couple people's doors, you know, getting them up because like they my homies and they're just sleeping away. So like, we got to get up, dog. We got to do something. So I went to the class, and like that class right there, just like it woke me up. It was like when I saw Troy was like being reunited like with an old like family friend. Like it was like holy shit. Like as crazy as it sounds, you know, being in jail, that was like the most comfortable I've ever been. Was like seeing Troy again and knowing that like someone that I can relate to on a whole different level is like there and like is happy to see me like genuinely, because you know when you're in jail you don't see nothing genuine. Everything's either fabricated or overamped, or you know you're just boosting yourself, trying to make yourself seem like you're something you're not. And so seeing Troy just like woke me up. It was like holy shit, like this is where I need to be. I need to be where his mentality's at and what he's teaching. I need to get there. And so that's where it just shifted everything.
Sounded like your high school, except you couldn't leave.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Was it similar? Did you draw some parallels between being in jail and, you know, the manipulation of other individuals, the ungenuineness?
Oh, 100%. It was really nothing different, because like middle school was like kind of like that, and high school was like that, and then jail, and then prison. So everything's been like the same way since I was like growing up as a kid. So yes, sir. Yes, sir.
To give you guys a little background on Troy, if you haven't listened to his podcast, what he does is pretty phenomenal. He teaches them how to get out of the cycle, the constant cycle of the violence and the cycle that they go through with their mindset. And he really does it in a way that he tells them, you know, he believes in them, and that's the important piece. I've actually witnessed one of his classes before, and was able to actually see what he does, and it's phenomenal on how he really is genuine. He genuinely cares, and he genuinely wants you guys to succeed, which I think is not something that you see very often. You know, a lot of times they're like, oh, they should rot in jail because of what they did. These are people. These are people that found the wrong path one way or another, and to understand that they have an opportunity to change their life. But the one thing I guess I never thought of that Troy opened my eyes to is a lot of times you guys don't have that support once you leave jail. What happens next? You know, if you're a felon, how do you get a job? If you've never had a driver's license, how do you learn how to drive? You don't have a car, you don't have the things. How do you get to your job? Besides, you know, the busing system, you never had a chance to, you know, you didn't get your GED, you know, that all the things that are roadblocks that Troy helps these people with. He doesn't just teach the class; he's with them outside.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And I don't want to speak for him, but I had a conversation with the sheriff after Troy's interview, and he was talking about how valuable it is. There isn't a bad thing to say about it. And you know, what's great about a program like that, not only is it effective, it's tangible. You can see the positive effect on it because Ruben's sitting right here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Here he is. Here's success.
Working.
Yes.
Out of trouble. Like, everything's going well for me. Like, it's a blessing. You know, it's a blessing in real life. So, yes, sir.
And you're showing others, and you're being a leader and a role model, trying to get them to leave that life also.
Completely.
To see that there is another side, that you can overcome all of those things. And that's extremely admirable.
Thank you.
So I guess the question now is, do you plan on getting your GED? What's next?
So I actually have my high school diploma,
Okay, nice.
which is, pretty significant because I never thought I would get it, let alone I never even passed freshman year.
That's amazing.
I had to retake freshman year at a totally different school. I ended up failing that too because I caught like 7 assault charges in like a month. So I was like kicked out of that high school. So I had to go to a job corps and get it through there. So thankfully I do have my high school diploma now. So
And that's amazing. I think what you're doing, it was not easy. And the way that you talk about it, it just seemed like, oh, in a snap, I did this and I did this. But
That's a sign of intelligence.
Absolutely.
In my opinion,
Thank you.
that's a very intelligent human being. To be able to process that and succeed, it takes a high level of intelligence.
thank you.
yeah, I 100% agree. And I would imagine, so tell us your dreams, tell us your aspirations.
So dreams and aspirations. So I want to get into the same thing that helped me get out of this life, which was peer support, care coordination type deal. Doing something with like helping out the youth. I really want to get into that because I do it on a daily with like my own people. Like I lead them to Troy, to church, to certain groups, to going to Share House and Anchorage. So I want to do something along the likes of that. That's like been one of my dreams, even like since I was a kid. Like I've always been really good at talking to people. It didn't matter. Like I guess being in that high school with like thousands of other kids and walks of life, it was sort of like shaped me into being able to talk to any kind of person, no matter where they're from, background. Doesn't matter what they are, who they are. Like so. I was able to get like groups of kids to do certain things. I was like even positive as a kid. And my mom, my dad always told me like I should do something with kids, youth or, kids from the same background as me when I got older. So that's what I want to do. I really want to do something like that, either help with the homeless out here, help out with people that I used to know that were involved in that lifestyle to get them to change. So that's going to be my dream. I'm going to do that.
I don't know if you got a significant other, but
No, sir.
ladies, he's a good looking man.
I appreciate it.
I better take a picture now. So
Post it on the story,
yeah, see, he's drinking his awesome tea. And
He is. How I do have to ask after he's done posing here.
Oh, yeah.
There's the from sure. No, you're good.
I don't know. My phone is on this like weird timer thing. It just doesn't like to play nice with me. All right, we got to get one more photo because we're going to post this on our Facebook and we're going to get this Fargo's most eligible bachelor right now. There you go. I love it. That's great.
How did you get to Fargo, Ruben?
So I got the Fargo.
What's the journey?
Woo.
We got time.
Do we have time? Yeah.
Statute of limitations.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I remember. Oh yeah. 100%. So, so I lived in Montana after I was moved to California because I was there when I was 14, and I was on like my second strike. Do you guys know about the first and second strike thing in Cali?
I don't. I'm not.
If you describe it, that would be great. So our listeners probably don't.
So basically in California, there's a law that's for registered gang members or for people that have been involved with the law, felony wise. If you catch, say you're living up in North Dakota and you catch a felony, right? We call it a strike. And if you get 3 strikes, which is 3 felonies, no matter if it's a B felony, C felony, or A felony, it's called a 3-strike rule. Say you catch 3 DUIs in North Dakota, and the judge tells you you're getting hit with 25 to life. Now you're in prison for life. That's how it was in Cali. Like that's if you get one little thing, felony like that, interaction with police, especially if you're like already in like the gang radar type stuff, you're hit. Mm-hmm. And so I was 14. I was basically on my second strike. So my parents moved me out of Cali, moved to Montana. Excuse me. And so I was living in Montana for a little bit, and I was doing somewhat good out there. For the most part, I had quite a few mishaps. I'll admit it. I had quite a few mishaps, stuff that happened. And eventually I went to jail for an aggravated assault because I got into a fight at this party drinking jungle juice.
That'll do it.
Oh man, I'll tell you what.
Mix that up.
North Dakota knows jungle
Yeah,
juice,
we do
so
know
we
that.
understand that.
All right, so I'll just leave it at that. I got involved with the jungle juice, and me being around a bunch of homies and like a bunch of pretty Latina girls, because like all the homies came up from California. They, we were chilling and just hanging out, and of course all the women came. So, just seeing all my people again. We had a big old party. We rented out a huge ass crib out in the middle of nowhere, and there was this native dude that had come on with like a couple of his brothers, and I think he thought he was like tough with his brothers or something like that, and he said something about so back where we're from, we call what you guys say bandanas, we call them flags where we're from.
Right on.
Okay.
So he had dissed my flag, and so I flipped out on him. We started fighting, and he had tried pulling out a knife on me, and I ended up getting away from him. I ended up hitting him with that a couple times, and I broke, I think 4 or 5 of his ribs, messed up something, a lot of things. So I ended up going to jail for that. So when I got out, my brother, he used to be like my brother, he basically told me, like, you got to do something different because you're going to end up going back to the same place, hanging around the same people. You're going to end up going to prison. You're going to end up, strung out again. So he moved me out of where I was at and moved me to the capital of Montana. I was out there. I was working. I was sober. I was, holding down a steady job. I was just chilling, making memories with, like, people that, were like family. So I was doing that for a while. And then eventually some stuff had happened at the crib where I was at. And, long story short, gun got pulled on me. And dude didn't want to run me my fade, so he wanted to pull out a gun instead. And this dude was like my brother. So when that happened, I was like, all right, if it's gonna be like that, like, fuck am I even doing here? So I ended up leaving. I went down to the homeless shelter. I was down there for a while, and like I was still sober, still working. I was going to church. I was still doing everything right. But eventually, like, you can only hang around certain stuff like that for so long when you're in that dark place. Where my homie, he came up from Fargo actually. He ended up, meeting up with me and my homie, and the homie that I was already staying with, he was a norteño from California, so already I was in like that mindset. As soon as I got kicked out of the crib, all right, back to the bullshit, back to hanging out with the homies. So boom, it was just like back on the same shit. Some stuff had happened in an apartment where, it was better for me to leave than to stay and, either go to prison or whatever was going to happen. It was better for me just to leave that situation. So I came here to Fargo, and that was probably about like 5 years ago.
And it just sounded like you got back into it because you found someone that cared, but yet they were in the life. And so that's what brought you back in there. So now you have a different situation because you have someone that cares that is not
Yes,
in
ma'am.
the life.
Yes, ma'am.
That can, which I don't imagine Troy's pulling guns on people anytime soon.
Not today.
No.
I will tell you, I got to thinking about this a little bit because I used to work at the old jail, and that was before you.
Okay. Yep, I heard about that.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a great place. No air conditioning, sandstone. But being the police, and that was my first job. It was like, I think everyone should have to work at a jail because you learn about how to use this and this instead of these all the time. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to think, and you have to be able to talk. And we're not so different, if you know what I mean, because you had to do the same things to survive.
Yes, sir.
And honestly, being a correctional officer is almost like being institutionalized too, because there you are. You do get to go home at the end of the day, but it depends on what home looks like, right? Mm-hmm. And that's my next point: is this environment, knowing your people, having your people around you. I think that's so important because it's really easy to cross over into that line again. Mm-hmm. That's easy to go that way. It's hard to get back.
Yes, sir.
And once you get back, you get a taste of that. You were going to church, you were sober, you're doing this. Felt pretty good, right?
Yes, sir.
And then here it is again right there. And it seems like it's everywhere. It's just not as prevalent. But I imagine with a larger population, like in the San Diego or wherever you are, you know, the opportunity, I guess, for lack of a better term, is there.
Yep, it's more off the bad things are there way more often than good things. You hardly really ever see good things because like where we're at, that's just how it is. It's just we never really thought of it as a bad stuff because it was just normal.
That was life.
You know, that was life. That's just how it was. So it didn't really feel bad to me at first because if it was like it's just normal. It is what it is. Like just how we live. So if it's bad in somebody else's eyes, like I don't give a fuck. Like fuck you and your opinions. Like come stay with me. Come hang out with me for the night. Let's go walk the block. Let's see how you act. Let's see how you deal with certain things. Cause like the way that they would act is like that's a bitch move. Like you're gonna get fucked up. You're gonna get robbed. You're gonna get killed. So if you want to act like that where I'm from, all right, yeah, go ahead, be a bitch, and then see how that ends up working out for you, which is unfortunate because it was a messed up mindset to be living in. Cause it was like, damn, bro, like you was on just a crazy path.
You know, I think when I worked the beat in this town, we had some local kids that thought they were gangsters.
Right, right.
And there was a party one night, a rented party, and some Black Pea Stone Crips from Chicago were up here.
Yo,
and they got schooled real quick on the gangster life. It wasn't pretty. There were no winners, put it that way. But you know, it's dangerous to pretend. It's dangerous to live that life, but it's also very dangerous to pretend. And it makes me wonder now, listening to your story, I'm like, what was really going on with that group of local kids that they felt the need in the environment here? Because yeah, there's stuff that goes on here, but not like that. I mean, not
even close.
Not even
Doesn't
close.
even touch the tip.
Right, like you're describing, it's not the same at all. It's two different planets. And it makes me wonder now that I'm older and I can think a bit, you know, I'm not running around chasing anybody. Everybody going to run away from me. I'll hop in my car and chase you down, but I'm not.
100%. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I kind of feel for him now, and I know one of them's passed, and it's because of the lifestyle they, I guess, for lack of a better term, and no disrespect to the deceased, you're pretending.
Right.
And you chose to, and it didn't have to be that way.
Oh, absolutely. Did you know that I spent a week in jail once?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah. I survived
crazy.
to tell the tale.
She was a badass.
No, I wasn't. I was a drunk college girl that got a DUI.
Oh, okay. So nothing too major.
Yeah, no. It was
Right.
in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't a big deal. But my brother was law enforcement, so you can imagine that. I mean, I'm stupid. I don't know anything about all of that. So it was my second DUI, unfortunately, and.
Well, it's getting worse.
Yeah, well.
Don't call her out like that.
Yeah, so, yeah, see, I could one-up you. That's my second.
Okay, you got it. You got it, big dog.
No, I got my second one, and I was like, okay, this is bad. So I got sentenced to, so many days in jail. And when I was going in there, it was surreal to me. They do the pat-down thing, and I was crying. I was like all just out of sorts because of the things. And then the lady at the desk was like, do not mention your brother as law enforcement.
That's
I remember
a good
her
idea.
telling me that, and
yeah.
she scared the shit out of me because I'm like, are they going to hurt me? Like, what am I getting into? I don't know these, I don't know what I'm getting into. So I walked in and they gave me 2 blankets.
They gave you 2?
Gave me 2 blankets. Yeah, that's what the girls were like.
Hey, hold up. We only got 1.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
1.
I got 2 blankets.
That's a curse. That's a bad move.
Well, so here's
That's
how it started.
crazy.
I went and I got on the top bunk, the one that was empty that I walked up to, and I had my blankets, and the girl in the corner was like, hey. I'm like, yeah? She's like, how'd you get 2 blankets?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what they gave me. And she goes, you can't keep those. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, girl, you're not going to survive in here if you just keep giving away your shit. And I was
Yeah,
like,
they're going to.
Trying to help you.
so she was
Yeah.
trying to help me and be nice. And I was like, well, I only need 1. But ironically, I have the gift of listening to people's stories. And so by the end of it, I knew all of the girls. I knew their whole family. I knew everything they'd ever done or been and their whole life. And we just, we had really great conversations. And it was they would go to the rec thing, like where I think they could go like hang out with the guys. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna just sit in
Your
my
short
bunk.
timer anyway.
Yeah,
Keep
I was
yourself.
like reading
Weekend
books,
warrior, it's all
Yeah.
good.
doing my thing.
in and
I
out.
was like, nope, I'm happy in my little cell bubble, this little room here. We
Look-
watched Ellen at noon. I mean, it was
I'm
like,
sorry. That was the worst sentence right there.
That
was
sounds
terrible.
Chill, besides the Ellen, but,
Yeah.
But I learned something that day. I learned like what you're telling me is that, like you look at people that are going into jail like, oh, they're criminals, they deserve to be there, and you don't think anything else about it. But I got to see that side of the people that were in there, and that was kind of the point of my story, was that I got to hear their stories, and that some of these people had children, and the mom was a meth addict, and you could just hear that cycle that she was going through just
Sure.
over and over and over again. There was another person in there that had like 13 DUIs, but
Isn't that what Troy's program is breaking that cycle?
it
though?
does.
That's
yeah.
exactly
and that's
what you're
exactly
doing. You're breaking
what
that cycle.
These people need. They
15,
need someone to
15
believe.
times in jail is not going to help anyone unless
No.
there's something there to help them too.
The system is broken.
It's just putting someone in there out of society for a while. And then if there's nothing there, it's just going to continue. Okay, so being in a small community, I'll give you the other side of it. Imagine this, being in a double police car as a single man. Sorry, my dear, this is before I met you. I had a blind date lined up for the next night, and we pull into a fight at the Rock. Remember the Rock?
do.
Nothing but a rock. Shots fired, blah blah blah, like every single night. And we pull in there and we get hit by another car.
Oh,
And it was the girl I was supposed to go on a blind date with.
dang.
True story. Ended up taking her to jail, DUI.
Oh,
Ran
and you
in,
took her to jail?
That was your first
That's
date.
disrespectful, bro.
well, she got handcuffs before we even met. It's like,
Woo! Tell you what,
I was like,
that's a whole different one right there.
I was just the passenger in the car. I'm like, maybe we can give this one a break. I don't know. There's a pretty big dent in the car. I don't know if we can. I mean, what are you supposed to do, man? She's like, well, it probably wouldn't have worked out. How about that? I'll just take that as karma.
Yeah. Well, if it makes you feel better, the second DUI, the cop was trying to help me because I had like gone into a ditch, and I thought to solve the situation that he wouldn't give me a DUI. I threw my car keys into the snowbank,
Very clever.
and then I second guessed myself of doing that, and I crawled out the window against the snowbank, went to go find my keys, and lost a shoe.
Oh,
So when he pulled up, I was like,
You look worse.
I just looked at him, and he was like, "Have you
you
been
had
drinking?" I'm like, "What do you think?"
and you
I'm
had
like-
frostbite.
Yeah. So he had me sit down, but he knew my brother because of my last name. And he's like, "Are you related to so-and-so?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but don't call him." Like, he's not coming. I was like, just
you
leave
already
it
been
alone.
through this. Like,
But he
No.
sat me down in the front seat. And when I sat down, I heard a crunch. I didn't think anything of it. Turns out I broke his computer.
oh man,
Yeah,
You're just nights getting worse.
I know.
jeez.
Yeah, so that was my exciting story.
I tell you what, man, what a story. Do I get to do it at the end, or do you
Yes,
want to do
you
it?
get to do it.
I get to do it. So I don't know if you ever listened to this before, Ruben, but we kind of put you on a little spot, but in a good way, because I think you're in one of the best positions I think I've ever thought of for you to say something to people. So if there's a younger person out there or a peer out there that you could give one piece of advice to, what would that be?
So my advice to the youth or somebody that's younger than me is to slow down your reactive thoughts and start responding to things before you jump to conclusions. Definitely rethink actions before you do it. And decisions can happen in snap of a finger. That can either be, in my kind of situation, life or death. But in other people's situations, it can be, growth and, goals that you can meet. So just make that decision, and it's all on you.
Dude, you just gave me chills with that. That was the most raw, honest advice I think I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love the thought of not being reactive. I think that's advice for anybody, whether it's youth, adults, it doesn't matter. We're a very reactive society, especially on social media, and we're just very quick to jump to conclusions and to react as opposed to stopping, thinking a little bit and being like, okay, what can we do differently?
Yep, and that's what I was on as a kid. I'm not thinking, I'm just go ahead and doing it. That's what led me to, eventually prison. So if I can stop the youth from, reacting to things and start responding to things, I would sleep a lot better at night. For real.
Well, Ruben, I think that you are destined for amazing things.
Thank you, man.
There's no doubt about it.
Thank you, sir.
I can't wait. We got to do this again because I just got to see where you're at, man.
I'm down.
I love that. I love that. And I can't thank you enough for taking the time. I mean,
I appreciate you having me.
Well, yeah, I don't know what else to say, man. I'm in awe. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I mean that wholeheartedly too. That you're a better person than me when it comes to it. I don't know if I have your strength.
We all do. It's just within you. You got to bring it out. So unlock it yourself. You got it. You do.
Right on.
Keep going. Keep doing
Thank you,
and
ma'am.
keep changing lives around you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, everybody. We are scheduled for about a week from now. We have an interesting guest coming on next time. Again, something completely different. I've had a blast today. This has been enlightening to me. I learned something new every time, but I learned a lot more than usual today. No offense to everybody else, but this is something I was really passionate about and I wanted to learn about because I only get to see one side, and when you're in law enforcement, you take someone to jail and then you go on to the next thing and you probably don't deal with that person until you're in a bad situation again. So this is awesome to be able to see success and know in your heart that the person sitting 5 feet from you is going to do nothing but great things.
I appreciate it, sir.
Yes.
I appreciate it. And hearing that from your perspective, from where you were on the side of the fence, that also means a lot too. So
Give me a double
appreciate it.
table tap. Much respect. All right. You don't get that, do you, Abby?
No.
All
Double
right.
tap.
I'm a North Dakota white girl. I don't understand it.
Down now. All right. Till next time, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. You've been listening to the Kiss My Chaos podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we speak with some of the most intriguing people about their journey from trauma to triumph. If you find yourself in mental crisis, please seek professional medical help immediately.